In 1996, the combined efforts of the District of Saanich, the Friends of Glencoe Cove, the Province of British Columbia, the Moore family, and the countless hours of volunteer efforts resulted in the creation of Glencoe Cove Kwatsech Park and the Ferndale Forest Park. Glencoe Cove is located in Saanich, just north of Uvic. It is about a 6-minute drive from the school and a 20-minute drive from downtown Victoria. The park is a total of 14.3 acres, which includes the Ferndale Forest area, located just a bit inland from the park. From the park, you have a view out towards the Harrow Strait and the San Juan Islands. As you can see, there are some other coastal areas nearby, such as Arbutus Cove, and then near Uvic, there's Cadborough Bay. This map here is located just before you enter the park, close to the North Beach. It has some information on the park, such as a little history, as well as some of their described habitat zones. As well, you can see on the map there are some images of wildlife that you may see in the area. The park is divided into 7 habitat zones. The first zone is the environmentally sensitive zone. Second, forest preserve zone. The third, the North Beach zone. Fourth, South Beach zone. 5 is the Old Field zone. 6 is the Mixed Vegetative zone. And the 7th zone is the Ocean zone. Glencoe Cove Kwatsech Park was once a village that was home to the Lekwungen dating back to 500 AD. The Lekwungen are known by most of the Songhees, and they are part of a larger diverse group of indigenous peoples called the Coast Salish. The name Kwatsech is the Songhees' name for Gordon Head, as told by Songhees elders. The shell midden, now preserved within the park boundary, is one of the best midden remains along the eastern Saanich-Victoria coastline. This clip here shows our journey from the car down to the south beach of Glencoe Cove. As you can see, we are parked at the end of a residential area, and this is where most people come to enter the park due to it being near the South Beach, the most popular beach. Just up ahead here you can see a lady walking her dog, which is very common for locals to do due to the paths being nice and open and not having much debris in the way. Also up ahead you'll notice that there's densely packed vegetation. In here we found some invasive species such as Himalayan and trailing blackberry, and even some English ivy. These steps just up ahead, similar to the ones at the North Beach, are quite steep, but they bring you right down to the waterfront.
And this is the southern beach found at Glencoe Park. It is in a cove and is a very sheltered beach. South Beach shares characteristics very similar to an eddy, where all of the driftwood gets swept into the bay and has nowhere to go due to the lack of a strong current. South Beach probably being home to 90% of the driftwood found at Glencoe Park. This is another unique feature found at Glencoe Park that many people don't know about, and it's actually a small waterfall which has created a small cave using mechanical weathering and erosion mechanisms. As we move further along the coast of the southern beach, we find ourselves standing on a rocky islet. As well as the rocky islet, in the cove there is a large grouping of bull kelp. Bull kelp is home to the harbor seals, as they use it for protection against their predators in tough times. On the left of this picture shows the San Juan Islands, which are currently resting in the Harrow Strait. After leaving the rocky islet, you are greeted with a shallow ravine, which is home to many intertidal species, such as the anemone and sea stars as well. On this particular day, the tide was near its highest, making it seem like the rocky islet will always be accessible by foot. This is Middle Beach at Glencoe Park. It is one of the smallest sections of beach found within the park's limits, and it shares the exact same characteristics as the North and South Beach found at the park. Moving on to the next beach, we find ourselves at the North Beach. The North Beach shares the very common characteristics as the rest of Glencoe, with cliffs being a very dominant factor throughout the backshore of Glencoe Park. In addition to the species already said, there are quite a few different marine species found at Glencoe Park, which consist of sea stars, sea anemones, mussels, mollusks, river otters, and the great blue heron, not to forget the blood star, all of which coexist to create a healthy and flourishing marine ecosystem.
Adding on to the wonderful marine life found at Glencoe Park, there are quite a few terrestrial species found here. Some of these species are the Nootka rose, the corpse or snowberry, Gary oaks, mice, hooker's onion, and a few invasive species such as trailing and Himalayan blackberry, as well as English ivy.
Nice. Additionally, we chose to slow this clip down in particular to try to capture the longshore drift mechanisms found on the North Beach exclusively at Glencoe Park.
As you can see here, the houses and beach are separated by a line of arbutus trees. One thing we did notice was that there was arbutus trees up on the North Beach, but none on the South Beach. As we can see here, the sediment size is very fine on the North Beach as opposed to the South Beach, which is much more gravelly and has larger sediment.
One of our critical observations of Glencoe Park was the amount of established walking trails in terms of the correlation between how many species were being fragmented from them. Was this considered in the park plan during the creation of Glencoe Park in 1996?
As noted earlier, the bull kelp ecosystem is very prominent at Glencoe Cove. You can see it here at the Middle Beach, and just like the South and North Beach, there's plenty of bull kelp.
Glencoe Park also features a very small field section for recreational use. This can be used for family gatherings or any other activity that requires a bit more space.
Another critical observation we made was that Glencoe Cove and the Ferndale Forest are often mentioned together. Because of this, we were wondering if when the parks were separated, was there any consideration in trying to keep them connected? There is a strong active restoration going on in the Ferndale Forest. This can be observed in the planting of new trees in and around the area.
Another conservation effort found at Glencoe Park is the continual support of the endangered species, the Gary oak tree. The Gary oak being very significant in indigenous culture due to the plant life and flora being very impactful for medicine and healing properties such as camas that grows in this ecosystem.
All in all, Glencoe Cove Kwatsech Park is a beautiful location located in South Vancouver Island. Based off of its incredible landscape and rich history, it is an ideal place to go relax on any given day.
Thank you.